Thank you for coming. Since there's not too many of us, let's just do a round of names. So I'm Angela.
I'm Franca.
Raymond.
Manfred. And we have someone joining us soon on the telephone. So we're just going to give a few personal stories, how Tokkoh has affected us or enhanced our lives, and then we'll hand it over to you if you've got questions. So we'll just say a little bit ourselves about Tokkoh, and then if you've got questions, we're happy to answer them. So I'll hand it over to Franca. Yeah.
So my name is Franca. I come from Switzerland, and at home I'm a primary teacher. And I did Tokkoh last spring, and I would like to tell you what it changed in my life. So first of all, it changed that I don't put things away anymore and say that they are impossible. So I look into the world of possibilities and try to decide not with a scale of I like or I don't like, but I try to look with the scale of what makes sense for my bigger vision. And my bigger vision is to make a world where everyone can be happy. And I think during Tokkoh I had to struggle quite a lot because I had quite a lot of beliefs that this is not possible or that this cannot work out, that I don't like that. And I could step by step let go of many things and see the world with quite new eyes. And I want to pass this on. I want that we can create together really the world that we want to live in and the world of our dreams. And I can also feel that I have a lot less resistances. There is one time during this week where you look at resistances and look how you block yourself. And I feel since that I'm really more connected to what I really want and to my heart. And that's what I want. It's the way I want to live. I don't want to be blocked to tell myself the story that I cannot be friends with somebody. I want to live the friendship world and be able to connect to all the human beings. And also to all natural beings, to all plants and birds and all other animals. So far. I'd like to say a lot more, but I think I'll pass it on to you.
Okay. Thanks. I ended up in Switzerland where I first attended Tokkoh 2 years ago, and I came to a place in Hagenburg where there was a community, and there was something about the people there, but I didn't know what it was. I couldn't figure it out, but there was something harmonious and peaceful about being around those people. So anyway, I spent some time with them, and then I went off and did some other travelling, and I came back to New Zealand. And then last year I had the opportunity to attend Tokkoh in Switzerland, so I went back, and they invited me back, and I didn't know anything about Tokkoh before I went, and I asked a woman who has done it, and she was from Japan, and I said, can you give me a tip or a hint or what will be helpful for Tokkoh? And she goes, don't give up. I said, don't give up? She goes, yeah, just don't give up. She goes, that's all I'm going to give you, is don't give up. And I said, okay, thanks. I had no idea what she meant. Oh, excuse me, I'll just take it. Do you want to take it? Because, yeah.
Hello.
And
so we just started. I put you on high speaker.
Great, thanks for joining us. So I'm just explaining a little bit about Tokkoh. before we get into questions and answers. And so I attended Tokkoh, and I found parts of it quite challenging, but I did what I was told. I didn't give up, and I stayed with the process, and at the end of it, I had an unexpected outcome, so I felt, for weeks and weeks, I felt incredibly peaceful. Mm-hmm. And I felt incredibly, like, just real oneness. So I felt kind of oneness, before, but I felt very peaceful. And what the interesting thing is it hasn't, this really deep peace, it hasn't gone away. So I can be now in situations in my daily life where I would not be able to tolerate. So years ago, I've been diagnosed partly like Asperger's. So Asperger's people, they're meant to have a lot of sensitivities, like to light and noise and smell, and whether I accept the diagnosis or not, it doesn't matter. But I did have a lot of sensitivities in my life to certain things, crowds, loud noises, lots of things. But after doing Tokkoh, I was able to tolerate a lot more, like just myself walking around in life, living life. So nothing bothers me now. So it's made just being in the world a whole lot easier. And the other thing is, if I use the word judgment, I didn't think I was very judgmental. I thought I wasn't that judgmental, but I realised after Tokkoh that I did have judgments about some people. But I don't have judgments anymore. Like, I don't, it's just, whatever happens, it's like, okay, so that's interesting. And it was just an amazing experience, which has really stayed with me. In so many ways that, I can't even think now, because I do feel, I've done other workshops in my life. I'm a herbalist, medical herbalist. I've run workshops, I've gone to workshops, I've done healing work, I'm an ecologist, I've done lots of different things. But Tokkoh experience has really stayed with me. And it's like, so Tokkoh, as I explain it now, how I felt it changed is, it was like I had, from growing up, so I'm in my 40s now, and from growing up I had fixed beliefs. So I had fixed beliefs about lots of things. But Tokkoh, it just simply knocks down the box of beliefs that I had, like these fixed beliefs. Mm-hmm. And so this is what came to the feeling of peace and oneness at the end, is there were no judgments, because I didn't have fixed beliefs about this or this or this. And I could just feel love, or just feel peace. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like with myself, with everyone. And so it was, it was a really incredible experience. Mm-hmm. So we're very excited to bring it to New Zealand. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So I think I won't say anything more about myself, but I'll just wait for questions now. Yeah.
I would like to add just what motivated me, because I didn't say it so far. So what motivated me in the first place was the people that I knew. I knew them from before they did it and after they did it. And I was really impressed by the change that I could see in them. Mm-hmm. And then one thing which also convinced me quite a lot was that one participant who did it, he told me, the method that you learn, the Kenzan, you can use it in whatever you do. It doesn't matter if you are a farmer, if you work in a bank, if you...
What is that?
The Kenzan is the method that you learn of not sticking to inner beliefs, but to just be in inner peace. And this is also something very fascinating for me. Around Tokkoh, there is a connection between people of all sort of ways. There are farmers, just very, very different people. And I'm so amazed by the fact that all these people, they can connect through this one method and through this openness and not having any fixed beliefs. Because so far I've been in many groups and they were just ecologists, or they were just spiritual people, or they were just this kind of people. And Tokkoh for me is really special in the way that it's like open for everyone. It doesn't matter what kind of person you are, it doesn't matter what kind of background you bring. Yeah, because like the very base of all of us is just the same.
Yes. They have a connection to Zen because it's Japanese, I suppose.
Tokkoh is probably, what I've known from Tokkoh is it's its very own thing. So if I was to make some labels about it, I would start by saying, well, we all have fixed beliefs. You know, as we grow up, we get beliefs. And so Tokkoh, it reprograms the subconscious mind. So it's helping to reprogram us into really being open and having no fixed beliefs that cause us pain in the world. So you could say in the way of suffering, like the Buddhist way. So it helps us to be in the world because there's no triggers, there's no suffering. We're able to be in the world really well. And it's a lot more peaceful because nothing is bothering me anymore.
Yeah, I really had this feeling after this week of Tokkoh of like, I'm living in paradise. I don't need to like wait for anything to come. I already live the way I wanted to live and in the place I want to live.
Well, in Zen, of course, you have also this non-judgmental attitude, this non-judgmental approach to the world. I mean, there's no good and bad.
No, but see, this is in theory. It's in theory quite a lot. But what Tokkoh does, it completely, like for me, how I described before about the box of my fixed beliefs in my mind, it completely, like if you have a picture of a bulldozer, it bulldozed these things down. So it really imbibed and stuck in me. And so I feel like I can just live that way rather than I'm not sticking to like the 10 Commandments, so to speak, you know.
And it's really your inner truth. There's no teacher or nobody who tells you how you should do things. You're just researching yourself and what is your inner truth. And we just, like over the years, because we're doing it now for 30 years, I mean, not me, but like there have been people doing it in Switzerland for 30 years, in Japan even for longer. And they have, like, by researching together, they have found out about some things, they were always the same. So this is what we call the natural principle, because by just being in our inner status, that's what we figured out.
How do you come to a non-judgmental approach to the world? I mean, there will be things that you are not happy with, I mean, we live in a world with a lot of violence and, I mean, there are lots of things, I mean, that we disapprove on. And
well, there's so many, aren't there? There can be, whether, say, if there's a vegan, say someone doesn't eat meat, or whatever, there's so many things we can become or that we dislike about the world. But Tokkoh helped me, personally, and what I've seen in other people who have done it, is to live in the world in peace and have an open and curious mind and completely non-judgmental. So it's stopping a lot of mind wars with myself and unhappiness about. So I'm an ecologist, so of course I want the world to be healthy and unpolluted in the bigger picture, from the microorganisms to the great forests, But it's helped me to live in a way where that it's peaceful no matter what is happening. And that is because Tokkoh, the 7 days, is very practical. And we have quite a structure to it. And it's an intense time. And it's great to stick with the process and your own process and not give up. And you learn this through the course. You learn through the course, through this very practical course, you learn how to walk away after Tokkoh and not have bitternesses about a lot of things that even say are happening in the world.
No, that's a challenge. Yeah, I mean, to overcome bitterness.
Mm-hmm. And there's there's topics that we focus on. So as I said, it's very structured. So the day is very structured, and we have kind of process time. Like our real work is done in circle time, and we have topics that are discussed deeply. And this is where we do our work, and this is where the mind is slowly unfixed. So it's like things are coming out, and then it's all at the end. It's like, wow. So on our brochure, it says, "How is it really?" And so this question, it's not always asked, but it's there. And sometimes there's a bit of discussion, you know, between participants, and it's how is it really? And it's very deep. So it's a very deep course. And it really gets to the heart level of things. So we're really coming from the heart level. So what happens is, this is where we're really coming to, is we're not, so this is what, so I don't want to talk too much and give too much away, because it's a beautiful process, the actual process of Tokkoh. So we shift from our minds, and we come to our hearts. And this is what stayed with me. Is I'm living my life from my heart instead of my head. And this is what's helped me, even saved me in certain situations, you know, or helped me a lot. Yeah, it's been a real blessing.
Do you have a question? Yeah?
No, I guess I would like to know a little bit more about what actually occurs on the course itself, but it seems like that's not something you talk about.
Well, during the course, we do our work in circle time, but the whole course is set up that we're always learning through everything we do, because it's highly practical. That's where we can go away and incorporate it into the world. But the main thing that I can say is that topics, or themes they're called in Switzerland, themes are talked about. And this covers a really wide variety of things, and this is where our learning and our breaking through, you know, the conscious and the subconscious mind is done, is through these topics. Did that help answer your question a bit?
So it's like you have circles, a lot of circles, where you talk about things with people, is that right?
Yes.
With certain topics.
Yes, that's putting it very basic, yeah. But it's what the main point is the topics are very very relevant and poignant, and they go a long way. So they go a long way with everyone individually, and then people, what happens is, as a certain topic, for example, which I don't want to say because it gives it away a little bit, but say a certain topic is talked about, then through watching someone else's process with a question to do with the topic, there's a lot of growth yourself in watching someone else's process, and their maybe struggle with it, or their delight in getting it. So it's like we all come to a level, so it's like we're all coming to a level of understanding. And then what happens, so when a tamer is put to us, and then what happens is we just all get it. Like, it might take a while, but when it's got, it's really incredible. And this is the real beauty of it. So this is the real, what would you say, Franca? What would you call that realization?
Yeah, it's a magic moment where we all enter into a new level of consciousness somehow.
Yeah, that's right. And that's what happens, is it's breaking through our ordinary mind and our conscious thinking and into our subconscious mind. And really I can never be the same person who I was a year ago after doing this course with such in-depth work after Tokkoh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
And the peace that I've carried with that. Yeah. Yeah. Do you have a question?
I'm good so far.
Mm-hmm.
You talk mainly about resistance, or that you think of something to be impossible, but then with the course you realize it's not impossible. Could you give me an example? What would that be?
Like, for example, I live in a community at home.
Yeah.
And there's one girl, and she's just, there's a lot of triggering me when I see her, because she does things not in the way that I like them.
Mm-hmm.
Like before the course, I would just think like, I think it's not possible to live with her, and just like reject her and try to go out of her way and try not to talk to her too much. And like after the course, I could see like that it's a fact that we just function a lot differently. And that I could have a look like in which situation does it make sense that we interact, and in what way does it make sense like for my higher aim, and in what kind of moments it's also good to like not be with her. But it's like not that I have this feeling of like once she enters the room of like I don't feel good, I'd probably rather go or something, because this I had before.
The same with me, with say a type of resistance. I would even more now look forward to, if there was someone, say I had the same thing with in the past, I would more be interested and curious to see how this interaction would now go. So that's the key, I think, is a very curious and interesting about something that would be difficult for me before. So it completely, it's so hard to explain, but it completely broke down all my thinking, fixed thinking, allowed me to come to a place in my heart and to operate in a very heartfelt way, where no matter what anyone says, I'm not getting triggered because my mind's not reacting, because I've learned to separate the differences as well.
Yeah, it's like this almost childish way of wondering, like, how could this situation evolve, or how could this be? Like, not sticking to your idea, it has to be like this, or I don't know, vegan is good, meat eating is bad, or whatever. But like to try out, or to try out with people what can happen, and to like also be surprised, like this is what is happening, and to see that you had this belief. Beliefs are sometimes still there, but I just like welcome them and say like, yeah, let's see if you are true or not, and not to like stick to them and say, I always believed like this is true. I still have beliefs, but
it's like an incredible awareness.
Yeah.
Incredible awareness that, oh, I have this belief, oh right, that's interesting, that belief is still there. So it's a really increase in consciousness where I'm incredibly aware of what my mind is doing all the time, and of a belief I may still have. And we can still, I'm a very, well, in the past I've called myself a spiritual person, but I'm also a very practical person. So it's not meaning that I'm passive now in my life, or I'm vulnerable. If I see something that needs acting on, I act, I need to, if I need to, if I see something needs to be, someone needs to be helped, or something needs to be, a child is going to, get hurt somehow, I do what I need to do. So it's not stopping me from being practical. It's not making me vulnerable. I feel more empowered after doing the course as well, through this greater awareness, especially of my mind. Yeah. And so the heart, our heart center is always here. So, peace, it's always here, isn't it? It's like, the blue sky, the clouds come, and the core is there. And in life, a lot of the time, it's the mind that construes things or makes problems for us. So it's after doing Tokkoh, I just feel like it's the mind and my feelings, so I'm not controlled anymore by my mind or my feelings. It's much more than that. It's from the heart. So I'm a Cancer, if you believe in that star sign stuff, and I've always found myself in the past to be reasonably emotional, type of person. I'd cry easily at films or whatever, and but I'm no longer ruled by my emotions, either my feelings or so it breaks through a lot in the mind. That can so I feel free. I don't know about you, Brent, but I feel very free. Yeah. Being in the world where things aren't bothering me as much at all anymore, and this is mostly because of my mind. My mind isn't controlling me like it used to, and my feelings. And this is all learnt through the course. So there might be a few things during the course that are a little, surprises to people. Oh, okay, we're going to be doing this now. But you understand by the end of it why we're and it's very minor, but why we're doing it that way. That's how it's a practical course. And if it wasn't so practical, what would happen if it was all just pure discussion or theory? At the end of it, you'd just go back to your normal life and it wouldn't be as well incorporated.
I assume you do some exercises and so you live through something and by doing so you learn something.
Yeah, there's certain we do a bit of an exercise thing in the morning, and then there's a few things structures, or I don't know,
there are things that you would also do in your daily life. It's not something like completely apart from your life.
No, it's all
really
very
the same
simple,
thing.
very easy, very easy.
Yeah.
But that's the way of how we do it. It's the methodology, the way that it's done, that really makes it stick. That wakes you up as well. So it's all about waking. It's waking ourselves, so myself and each other up. So by the start of the course, we sit there, we have no idea what we're doing. By the end of the course, we're just all feeling wide awake and aware.
Oh, I want to tell a story according to that. I was like, the very first time I met Tokkoh, I went to the brunch. Like after the week, there is always a brunch where friends of the members are invited. And then we sat in a circle, and I was really curious. I wanted to know everything. I was like, and now what changed in your life? And then nothing happened for some time. And then after a while, somebody said, what can you feel? And it was so amazing, and I started to feel, and I had this image all of a sudden of like a sort of a candle that really grew, and it really felt like there was so much light in the room, and the people were just sitting and they didn't need anything anymore. I was so impressed. Yeah, they were just there and so much shining, and I will never forget that. It was so touching.
It's amazing being a caretaker of Tokkoh. Like if you've done one Tokkoh, you can become a caretaker if you want to of another Tokkoh, and so be involved in the next 7-day course. So I did this in Switzerland for a German Tokkoh, and it was just beautiful. Just seeing the gradual awakening of people, and it was so amazing, and the before and after. Yeah, it's really incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
And so I guess there's one word, I don't know if I should say because it gives a little bit away, but things dissolve. So there's a dissolving. Hello.
I think we're either too early or we're in the wrong place.
I'll just, no, are you come for the Tokkoh tour? Pardon? Have you come for the Tokkoh tour?
Or are you for something else? No, Tremor Club.
Ah.
No.
Yeah.
And maybe over there. Yeah. What was the...
Are you still with us?
Yeah, no, it was...
Kira?
Okay, sorry for the...
No, it's okay.
Is there something else you would like to know?
No, it's obviously a little tricky because there's only certain things you can tell us. So I think you probably told us as much as you can, right? Okay, I do have one other question. So would you two be running the course then?
Yeah, we too will be caretakers.
But there will be also, there's a team of people flying over from Switzerland to caretake as well. So there's more than the both of us. So I'm not sure how many will fly over from Switzerland, but there will be a good handful anyway flying from Switzerland in May to run the course to help caretake.
How many caretakers do you have per group?
It does depend on the number of the group. So if there's 20 people, there are a lot more. So it depends really, but at least 4 would be a minimum of 4 caretakers anyway, wouldn't
And
there?
then there are 2 in the kitchen.
And there's cooks in the kitchen cooking food as well. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so basically kind of like there's circles where there's questions and the caretakers probably maybe ask the questions or facilitate it or guide it a little bit, do they?
They just help you to stay in the heart.
Right,
Like,
okay. Yeah.
Yes, to
So,
stay with the process. That's all the caretakers are really there for, is just to help you stay with it for the awarenesses it can bring.
Okay. Okay, and so is there a minimum number that you're trying to get to work?
A minimum, we probably will, the one in Switzerland, there is an English Tokkoh in Switzerland happening right now, and there are 8 people, and there's been as low as 6 or 7. So, I mean, we would go, it can still work for, we'd want over 5 people. And we have a few that are clean, but we have a limit of a number as well. We can't really go over 15. Well, yeah, it's ideal if we don't. For the venue is beautiful, but the kitchen for how much food we like to make in that is probably not ideal for more than 15 people. So we actually don't, we don't want 30 people, or, yeah.
mm-hmm.
And I mean, ideally, 12 would be ideal, really. I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Well, if you have any more questions, my email, ianturba@yahoo.co.nz, should be on the website, or just call me another time. I'll be happy to talk with you again.
Yep, sure.
Lovely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Or is there any other question you are seeing?
Takaka, you said staying in the heart. Could you outline that a little bit?
Like they help you to not because the head always wants to give you answers very quickly, and so once there is a question, the head tries to get arguments about it, like this or that or that, or that's the truth, or that's the belief, or this you have to pick up. And then once you get just to the heart is already very pleased with the question, and you can feel the question for a while, and it will give you an answer, but not in a way like the head does. But I think all this is something, before the Tokkoh I couldn't understand.
No.
When people were saying me this, I was like, what does that mean? And after the week you can really, or I can really feel it, and I think you will probably also be able.
It's like a spaciousness with the mind where it's not coming in, so it's allowing the heart to grow and to be more aware. So it's like there's you know, I'm quite a picture mind person, so it's like the heart is growing and the mind is spacious without things. It's like, you know, another analogy which is different from the heart, but it's like intuition and logic. So sometimes intuition might tell us to do something, but then the logical mind, say 2 or 3 seconds later, comes in very quickly and sort of says, oh no, that doesn't make sense. You know, and I used to teach a workshop in Pahara Valley, and we talked about this, about the intuition. I did some workshops, you know, it was on a separate topic than this Tokkoh, but and it's the intuition was there, and it was always the first thing, but the mind just comes in to counteract that. And I would always give an example of, I brought a house in Pahara Valley, and there was a hose, old hose, and it was all a bit kinked and bent, and I was like, oh, well, it doesn't work, I'll have to buy another one. So I went and brought another one, and I folded it up, and I thought, oh look, there's a hose rack. So I put it on the hose rack, and then my intuition first straight away said, don't put it there. And my mind 3 seconds later came in and said, it's a hose rack, it's meant to have a hose on it. And a few days later, it was sunny, I walked past and the hose had melted onto the rack. But my intuition was right, you know. So the intuition's always right. So it's a little bit, so I'm not trying to talk about intuition now, I'm really trying to talk about the mind. So the logical mind is always coming up with reasons and, you know, telling us what to do in a way. But if the mind can be quiet and gives this spaciousness, well then it just naturally allows the heart to be a lot more present. Yeah.
So you favor the intuition over the logical mind? Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a personal journey, and that's other things I used to teach, but I am a strong believer myself of intuition and listening to intuition. But sometimes, you know, the mind comes in very quickly that hose example was just a very simple story about how the logical mind is so strong and can sort of say, it's a hose rack, you know. And I have a science degree. I like science. I'm quite logical and practical. But I can understand why the mind is so helpful and likes to do this for us. But our heart, you know, if we come, so that the intuition is very helpful in our lives, our daily lives, I believe. But our heart too is, you know, is there, and that's where it's beautiful to live with. And through is the heart. Being heart-centered rather than the mind-centered. Because the mind's coming in to judge or to criticize or to, you know, but this is what's beautifully, slowly, this is why it has to be a 7-day course. It's slowly unraveled during Tokkoh. So this is what we, you know, what we learn really. And there's not much point in me trying to explain it all at the end, because it's such a beautiful process, the Tokkoh.
And at the same time, I feel like even though we are doing it all together, everyone feels something completely else, like inside. I mean, not in the way of finding his truth, but like everyone lives the week so differently, so we can just talk from our personal experience, but like for you it will be completely something else, or probably...
I'm just thinking, I mean, I definitely, in a lot of cases, I need my mind not to judge. If I listen to my feelings, if I have a Trump support in front of me, I need my mind not to judge him, to say, oh, this guy, look at him. The more I know about him, the more I can understand him. But I need the mind for that, in order not to judge. With my heart, I mean, it's really because there's so much in think about what Trump, what it all incorporates, and what the reaction you might have. But you need the mind to get rid of that. Do you understand where I'm coming from? I mean, I need my logic not to judge.
Yeah, the mind, it can be very useful, our mind, and very helpful at times. But we learn over Tokkoh for it to how it can help us, you know, like this, and that it can be helpful when we want, but sometimes there's bitterness, or there's anger, or there's this, or there's this.
Yeah.
And this is where the mind can be more destructive to us or to others. And so we learn about the mind. So we're learning a lot about the conscious mind and going into the subconscious through these tamers. And so all this is really discussed in detail. And it's not everyone talking all at once. People are really thinking, you know, there's time for a lot of awareness and consciousness, you know, evolution, yeah.
And if I think of your example, if I see Trump speaking, I also have like this belief that comes right away, like that's bad or something. But if it comes, I would just allow it to be there and then ask my heart, is it sensible to have this thought? Does it help to the good of everything? And then my heart often says like, no, that doesn't help you.
Yeah,
And I don't need
isn't
my
it the
mind to
mind
convince
that tells you that it's counterproductive? Yeah, to delve into this feeling. Yeah, to see that guy and to be disgusted. It's a feeling. Yeah, but you don't want that to happen because you understand that it won't help you. Yeah, but it's more your decision, your firm decision, not to go into that feeling.
Well, this is talked about a lot in Tokkoh.
Yeah.
And this is what's, people are giving their views, and we learn to come to this understanding of what is controlling us and what is really, where it's all coming from. And that's the beautiful thing. It's a very deep course. Yeah, and it's very interesting.
And I would like to, if you do the Tokkoh, to discuss about it after the Tokkoh and see how you think about it.
Yeah.
What do you think about it then?
Yeah, it'd be great to have this talk if you did a Tokkoh sometime, to talk again with you about this very conversation, say. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything more that wants to be known? Another question?
Is still here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, are there any more questions? There could be lots, I'm sure.
I think we could talk about that. Till the cows come home. About resistance and acceptance and staying in the heart and these are.
Yeah, I mean, I feel it makes more sense in this frame to really talk about what can you get out of the course.
And then not to go into the process.
Yeah.
Because it's
You need to experience it. You can't talk about things like that.
I mean,
of course
you
we
can
talk about things like that. Of course we can.
But then you would already know the process, and the process takes quite a while, so it's like hard to just talk about it if you don't have the opportunity to experience it.
Yeah, but in other contexts, I mentioned our Zen group. And of course it's a lot about acceptance, and of course the approach is loving kindness. And so you wish everybody well, even your worst enemy. So that's also an approach.
Sure.
But I mean, you have a certain idea what might help you, and apparently, I mean, you have exercises, to give people this learning experience, and with this learning experience, you can take it out in the world, and then turn it into action.
It's for me. I mean, I've done some Buddhist stuff before, and that loving kindness, like the loving kindness meditation, lots of different things. But I did, and it's all beautiful and it's very helpful. I did find Tokkoh just got right through so many barriers with so much to do with the mind. It really just broke through. And the word, I don't know if it's, I like science, but it really imbibed in me what the essence, what they're really getting to. And it's just so fascinating. Yeah, really fascinating. So, and it's, yeah.
Can I just ask a question? I'm just wondering, what the format is in terms of what time it starts, what time it finishes in the day, and things like that.
It starts on Saturday the 11th and it ends on the 18th.
No, I mean
Saturday.
what time? What time does each day start and finish?
The whole day is the Tokkoh.
Yeah, that is an interesting question, and it's quite a hard one to ask because the whole moment you get there to the time you leave is Tokkoh. So there's no real fixed set. There's plenty of time for tea and coffee breaks and things like that, and food and everything, eating time. But there's no once you get there, it's kind of Tokkoh time, isn't it?
Yeah. You get into the Tokkoh time.
There's no sleeping time?
Oh yes, definitely.
Yeah.
There's plenty.
Yeah.
Which is very important to me. Yeah.
Right. So the day doesn't end at a certain time and begins formally at a certain time?
Yes, no, it's very structured. So there are beginning and ending. So the whole course is very structured, and there's definitely a night time where we sleep and things like that.
Okay, but you can't say what time it formally begins every day?
No, it varies a bit. So yeah.
Very mysterious.
Yes, it is a bit mysterious, but see, when I was in Switzerland and I was going to do the Tokkoh, and I knew even less about it than what I've just Franca and I have talked about here. And were you in the conversation earlier where I said, so I asked a woman who had done it from Japan, and I said, can you give me a hint? And she said, just don't give up. She said, don't give up, just stay with the process. Because what she was saying, and it was very helpful. It was just, I didn't know anything about it, but it was just very helpful because it was important for me to stay with my own process. Yeah. So,
And they often use this image, and I really like it, that's why I'm saying it. We all are like little chickens in our eggshell. And the caretakers, they tug at the eggshell from the outside. But we have to open our eggshell ourselves.
break through. That's a great word. It's really about breakthrough.
Yeah.
And there's so many breakthroughs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is a very structured course, but in a slightly different way from being really regimented at 8:15 we're doing this. But the days are pretty much the same.
It's not just talking all the time. There are different activities for the non-verbal?
Well, there's quite a bit of
And even the meetings, I wouldn't say that there's a lot of talking.
No.
Even the circle time, people are mainly researching in themselves. There's not so much
it's not
talking from the outside,
Yeah.
but there is some.
There is some, but it's not all just. There's not a lot of just blah 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 talking all the time in the process, in the circle time.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's quite in depth. Where we're really questioning ourselves about certain things.
Mm-hmm.
It's I guess the part about not giving up is really looking, say for example, for me, in my mind for something, you know, for the reason for this, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was also quite a thing. They told me in the beginning to not do it with a partner or with somebody you have tendency to go like, oh, poor one, don't feel worried or angry or anything, but to do it with people where you can really develop yourself and be next to them and being in your process. So like in the beginning, I went there with my partner, and we decided in the beginning that we would really be there for ourselves and not go into this kind of rescuing each other. And this really helped me, because we, in our society, we quite often have the tendency to like kind of rescue each other, and this makes, in some ways, it makes that our consciousness keeps down and that we cannot like go to a higher consciousness, because we cannot experience this because we're always like putting down.
Because we don't break through.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not breaking through. So the group work itself is very powerful because we get to witness breakthroughs in other people, and that can facilitate our own learning or vice versa. Yeah.
A breakthrough would be finding a connection to the heart.
It's more to do with the, yes, but it's deeper than that. It's more to do with the breakthrough through the mind, with the mind. Of maybe of a fixed belief I've had for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
You see? And where that's coming from. And so there's some, you know, scenarios for us to talk about that's happened in the past. And things like that, and for some of the tamers. And so we give an example of something in the past. And we really get to look at this in detail of why I reacted this way. And that's where the breakthrough comes, when I really realised it actually wasn't necessary at all. Even though at the time I thought it really was. But that's the breakthrough. And this is where things disappear and get dissolved. So that's what we mean by breakthrough, don't we? Yeah.
I like also describing like that.
Any other questions?
Well, we can stop here.
Okay. Yeah. Then thank you a lot that you came.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Yeah.
Thanks for explaining.